Večer. My vás tady vítáme společně na Scholastiku, tedy společně s mým kolegou Ondřejem Brody, naším pedagogem, který tady vede cyklus přednášek z teorie a dějin designu Adama Štěcha. A vítáme tady našeho vzácného hosta Elrica Petita z Lausanne, ze studia Big Game. Já jenom krátce za Scholastiku řeknu, že to je vlastně první z cyklu přednášek, který bude probíhat vlastně v tomhle roce 2015, asi to přesáhne do roku 2016, protože těch oslovených designérů je 6 celkem. Zítra bude vernisáž výstavy nazvaná Poetický život.
Pardon? Question and answers.
Pardon, dobře.
A jsou jako otázky a odpovědi a bude to takový zajímavý koncept, který vlastně Studio Big Game předvedlo poprvé v Tokiu. Was it in Tokyo, the first question and answers concept?
Yes.
A je to vlastně taková výstava, kde oni představují výběr své dosavadní tvorby a my jako zástupci České republiky k ním přiřazujeme takové vlastně protipóly právě z historie českého designu, takže tady tvorba se dostane do trošku zajímavých souvislostí tímto. Takže vás srdečně zveme zítra do galerie Okolo, Bořivojova 77.
Já bych ještě možná poprosil Adama, aby si už Elrica uvedl v angličtině a celá přednáška teda bude v anglickém jazyce, bude nahraná a potom bude přístupná ještě jako na našem webu a webu Czech Designu a tak dále. Tak jo, děkujeme. Díky.
So, thank you for coming. It's really nice to have such a nice audience. I would like to introduce Elric Petit. It's a 1/3 of a big game studio, which was founded 10 years ago or so. It's a multidisciplinary design studio which is based in Lausanne in Switzerland, and they are focused on the design everyday products for living, for working. And actually Elric is Belgian, but his colleagues are French and Swiss. So it's a quite interesting mixture of nationalities, and they are based in Lausanne because they also teach at Ecole University, and they are one of the most interesting examples of young European design. So now I give a talk to Elric. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a lot of questions, but thank you very much to you and Scholastica for inviting me. Yes, as Adam told you, I'm one of the 3 designers of Big Game. This is a selection of our production and the 3 designers. Augustine, Elric, it's me, and Grégoire. It was a way of showing some of our pieces. First of all, I have to introduce my 2 colleagues. They are not here, but I have to speak about my 2 colleagues. Augustine is a French guy, but he never lives in France. He lives used to live in China and Switzerland. He grew up in China till he's 20 years old. It's crucial to work with a good team because being a designer today is very difficult. Always we speak about design like doing a marathon, and it's a lot of work, and it's better if you work with nice people, and this guy is a nice people. The other one is the Swiss one. Is the guy on the not on the left, but on the right. Grégoire is Swiss. He grew up in Switzerland, but he loves traveling. Here is in Japan. You can see in the fish market. And it's not me, but I'm Belgian, and I love architecture. And a lot of people say about Belgium that they grow up with a brick in the stomach, It's an expression. It's strange, but yeah. And I grew up in this kind of country with when I was in the college. In the college, my friends during the weekends go to build their house with their parents. That's a strange country. That's the three people at the beginning of the studio. But we work also with interns and employees. We are a team with 6 people today. It's really important to work with also young designers into the studio because they give a lot of energy, good ideas, and they are very professional also. And if we select it well, that's the of course. It's our job, yes. That's the team. Few words about the beginning of the studio. We start 10 years ago, but in 2 different cities. I was in Brussels and my 2 colleagues was in Switzerland, in Lausanne, and we work a lot by Skype. It was the only way to do something together, it's working by Skype, and we spent a lot of time on this program, and drawings, take pictures and send. It's sometimes complicated, but we have fun. And it was the only way to build a project together. And when we saved enough money to see each other, I came to, because I'm only one, and one flight is less expensive than 2 flights, and I came to Switzerland, and this is the cafe in the station of Lausanne, and we always draw on the paper tablecloths our project for Milan, and showing our project in Milan was very important for us because when we were graduated from our school, we don't have any clients, of course, and Milan was good for that. To meet people is a good place. Quickly, I show you the 3 first year of Big Game was based on showing collection in Milan.
So Elric,
yes.
You exhibited at Salon Satellite?
Yes. Salone Satellite is a place where you buy a space for the week for 2,500 euros, and okay, it's possible, and you have a space. It's very difficult to stay there all the week, but we have a small. It's 4 meters by 4 meters. Mm-hmm. It's really good for the young designer to go there and try to meet good people.
And do you think that today is still so powerful than in the days when you exhibited there?
A lot of people say that it's not so powerful, but I'm sure it's still very good. Okay. It's the difference. It's a long time ago. 10 years ago, we were hundreds booths.
Yeah,
small booths. But today maybe it's 300. But if you look into the booths, you can find it's more work to find a good thing because it's a lot of stuff. Yeah. But for sure, it's still good. Yeah. The first collection was based on a confrontation between heritage and contemporary lifestyle. That's a bit the idea. It's a bit old-fashioned. It was 10 years ago. This collection was an idea to speak about the aesthetic of the packaging, the industrial packaging. And the last one we show in Milan was a very geometrical collection based on only line and circle, very basic. And you see that we designed a lot of objects, but without clients. The goal was to do a kind of advertising for the studio because it doesn't exist at this time. It's quite nobody knows. And with the time, people ask us to design piece for some company. we work a lot with a friend, a photographer called Milo Keller, also from the ECAL, where we studied, and he helped us a lot to do pictures. This one is a bit acrobatic pictures. It was exciting to do. Then the beginning was a big game without client. Then we also work in the school to earn a bit of money. And Augustine, Grégoire and I are involved into the ECAL. ECAL is the school in Lausanne. And I was during five years the head of the bachelor in industrial design in the school. And I tried to involve the students into the real life. And I take students into different factories and in the real life. That's very important from my point of view about the pedagogy. And here we are with the team, with the students into the Alessi company, factory in the north of Italy. And it was a great experience because some of the results of students from the students are now in production. It's good to start a career for a young designer. And this is an image of the setup in Milan.
You lead this stationary project.
Yeah. It was the first project when I was in Andieka. And I worked with a lot of teachers like Chris Gabel from Rotterdam. He designed pieces for throw design, you probably know. And he's a really good teacher. And this is a project for bike accessories. This is a new brake system. Brake with includes chains for snow. And I'll show you a small movie, maybe it's easier. As you can see, ECAL gives a lot of energy to promote the project of the student. And it's a project for a semester. And at the end, we try to work on a movie with the students and some assistant in the school and show the project to fairs or in Milan, something like this. I will be quick with ECAL because it's a small part of the presentation, but I was very excited by this project, the last project we showed in Milan with ECAL. It was a crazy project because it's not only about form and function and doing a beautiful object. It's give a character of object, and we got a lot of good surprise from the students with this project because it was a very funny project where the object has to be combined with electronics, and this container are completely crazy because there is a small snapshot movie into the gallery in Milan, but they challenge the gravity in this. Another very bizarre object is a cactus. Cactus give a sound like small animals. It's not the official movie. Oh, well, it's me. It's not the official movie from ECAL, but it's some snapshot movie during my life into the school. And in this school, I work a lot in the evening, also in the evening, because the challenge in the school is very high. And this is a student lonely in the classroom, like around 10 o'clock in the evening, try to make working his own project for Milan. I cannot explain. But it was fun to see the mess and what's so difficult sometimes to do something good. At the end it works well, the clock follows your movement. But now it was in process. Now I'm back to a big game. To my studio.
For this presentation, you received the best project in Salon or
last
award.
Yeah. A prize called Milan Design Award. Something like this. Very official. I never hear about this prize before, but I was proud for the student because it was good news. I come back about the studio big game and the business we try to develop with our small studio. To be a designer is interesting if you can sell a lot of pieces, and this is the first piece we launched with a Belgian company. The guy with the long hair is the Belgian boss of the company, and we signed the first contract with this guy in Flemish, and we don't understand nothing in Flemish, but we signed it. But 10 years ago it was our first project. We were very lucky to start with this project because it gave us a lot of royalties. That's important. It exists in 3 different dimensions, and it sells flat pack, and people build it themselves at home. When you travel, you can find very weird things as this kind of copy of the mood, and in fake gold with the line of the mood. We have a collection of this kind of images of fake trophy. And, but I showed only one view. For a designer, it's important to design, not for all designers, but for us, because we go to Milan every year, it's important to design a chair, and that's the first chair we did. It's a bit a crazy project because we start without a comment, without nobody asks something, but we want to do a chair, and we do this chair called bold chair. Bold chair, why? Because it's like a typeface. That's the light chair, medium, and bold. And after it's extra bold. And it's I cannot explain exactly why we did this chair, but it's probably because all of the three designers from big game loves BMX, and we all knows this kind of pieces. It's like foam into on a piece of metal, and it's quite the same process to do the ball chair. This is the first mock-up of 10 centimeters like this. We did it with the cylinder for curling hair. Then we go to the neighbor, the hairdresser, and we ask for this. The second mock-up, very ugly with this kind of PVC tube, but ugly but not expensive. And after we use heating pipeline tube, and because inside the chair, inside the foam, there is a metal tube to make it strong. After we look for a company can produce this chair, and it was very difficult. And finally, we found a factory doing car seats, and they agreed to produce the chair. This is for the bigger part of the chair. You can recognize this, and the small size in the middle. It's the other part when it comes out of the mold. The process of this project was very, very complicated, but at the end we had a problem. And to cover with the fabric, the tube, naturally we went to see a sock manufacturer to make a very long sock. That's the first sock. Very sexy chair. And every step was funny in this project. Even they were so enthusiastic that they don't ask us, but they sent a sock with a small chair. Yeah, that's a crazy story. We don't sell a lot of this chair. It's only 300 pieces per year, from 5 or 6 years. Then we doesn't live with this kind of product. But this product it's good for us because now it's into the MoMA, and it's just a crazy story for us. That helped us
The serial production was starting with the company Mustache?
Yes.
Before it was just your prototype? Or
Exactly. Yes. The first one were very heavy, uncomfortable, but now it's better because we work with Mustache. That's the packaging. To get enough money for the studio, we have to diversify our activity, because only doing chairs, this kind of chair, absolutely impossible to pay the apartment and food and etc. Then we try to open into different fields. And we are now working in the field of electronic devices. This is the first product we did with a company based in Hong Kong, and you see it's like a pencil. All the markets into this kind of product says that they want to do the USB memory stick as small as possible, and we don't do that, and we did a bigger one like a pencil. Then it's easy to find, and also the images of the product is low techy, but more maybe emotional. Something that's very appealing, because emotional is not good for an object. With the producer, it exists in 12 colors, and it was easy. We sent the box of Swiss pencil to China and to receive the good colors, because colors is difficult in the industry, but with this kind of tools, finally it's right. With the same company we work with, they asked us after the USB University to design a watch, also playful and affordable, because this watch is around 25 euro. It's not very expensive. And the idea was to, we were inspired by the plastic strap buckle you can see on the backs, like each back, and it's quite the same system. And we developed the watch also in 12 colors. All the pictures, we try to do all the pictures into the studio. Then it's always the hand of Grégoire, because he's the one with a good hand. It's a way to save money during the process of each project. And
So
thank you, Grégoire.
you are anymore working with the little camera?
It becomes too expensive.
Yeah.
No, it's a bit a joke, but the story stopped after 4 years. Okay, yeah. But we stay good friends. But about working together was 4 years. Yes, then it's all is the big art direction. And we try to go to the beginning to the end of each project, and also we try to design the packaging of each product we did. And this is the packaging for the watch, and it works like a small matchbox. Yes. I don't know why, but we work a lot with Japanese people. Even the first article we had with the Salone Satellite was from Elrico, Japan, the first ever we had. And they called us a big name, but no problem. And we have a strong relationship with Japan. We work for Muji, if you probably know, and also for a very old factory in Japan called Karimoku. And this is the team, the Karimoku team, and Lei on the ground is the director. And they are amazing. It's crazy to work with Japanese people because they are very enthusiastic, very precise, and they want to do good product. Just to give you an idea of the factory, people work very, very precisely. A bit like a machine, but precisely. And the funny thing is, just after the craft room, it's a machine doing quite the same. Then now it's a machine, it works.
The machine is slower, no?
Machine what?
Machine is slower.
Yeah, it's slower, yes. But it works 24 hours. But this machine is very ideal. I have no word for it. But it looks slower, you're right. And that's this type of object. We work on a range of furniture for the company, and yes, that's the goal. They ask us doing work on a range of furniture. The table, of course, are easy to flat pack because they send the production from Japan to Europe and USA. And okay, we have a lot of challenge into this work, but it's exciting. The chair is probably the most important piece of the collection because they sell a lot of this chair, and I would like to show you how we start with the chair with the first mock-up in like it looks like a toilet, but it's the ergonomical first mock-up. Sometimes it's funny to see. This is a very fragile cardboard and pine wood mock-up, but it's the first time we see the chair. And after that, it becomes very serious because this is the piece in 1 feet here. In Japanese oak, and it becomes more serious, and it's beautiful to see all the detail in Japan. I can stay a lot of time in the factory to see everything because
How much time did you spend in this factory to develop the chair?
not like only 1 day. Because we go every year, but we stay like few hours in the factory, and after we go into a room a bit like here. We receive a coffee, and we work on the 3D file. And when we can go into the factory, it's like 3 times. Because everything is beautiful. Yeah. But we work a lot in our studio in Switzerland for this company.
Yes.
That's a big amount of days. But into the factories, it's not enough. Yeah. That's an idea of the aesthetic of the factory and the chair. More comfortable from the board chair I showed you before. Just to give you an idea of how they drive, the model is solid. And in this collection, the collection grows up every year with a low chair. And this year in Milan we will show the sofa in the same family. Yes. We work in furniture, electronic device. Sometimes also we work into the exhibit design field. And here is we receive a call from Hermès, and they ask us to work on the scenography of the Prix Émile Hermès. Is the prize for the young designer. 10 young designers are selected to show their product in Paris. As you see, we were in love with plants, and we would like to create a jingle for the presentation of this contest. Sometimes we go in factories. Sometimes it's this kind of place. It's in the Netherlands, because the challenge for the exhibition in Paris was to find the good plants. If you go into a shop in Paris, the price is 10 times. It's horrible, and also the quality is very bad. And we went into a beautiful place in the Netherlands, and we find these crazy plants. And after, this is very basic construction because it's Hermes, but the budget was not Hermes. Very low budget, and we finally it was jungle for funding this. I show you this scenography because into the studio it's really important to earn money just to continue. And with product design, the money doesn't come so fast. And sometimes we need to go into a project with architects or with a museum or scenography to make a project shortly, like in 3 months. You start and you finish. You got the money. That's it. Another project here is another watch. The funny thing is we are Swiss, and for a design studio based in Switzerland, it could be nice to design a watch. But this watch is for a French company. It is produced in China, and the mechanical movement inside is Japanese. We cannot promote. It's not so good for us. But for us, we made this. For us, it's a good product because they sell a lot of this because it's very basic. It works well, and it's not too expensive. That's the goal. We don't want other things. We want if the project stay in the catalog of the company, and if they sell, it's good. This is again the famous director of the Kanmoku factory. And during the few hours we spent in the factory, he showed us this beautiful tray, and it's a traditional tray for tools in Japan. And I show you this because we are always influenced. Probably you also. You are influenced by all what you see always, and we transform this tray into a product for Alessi. It's also just simple. And Alberto Alessi, the owner of the brand Alessi, asked us to design boxes, small universal boxes, and we just come from the Japanese trip, and we tried to develop this product. For the industrial designer, I have a small movie. It's how we connect the wood with the plastic part, with the elasticity of the plastic part. It's probably the side I prefer into the work of designer. Is find very economical solution to produce objects. It's probably the best reason to be a designer. Okay. And this is the product. Sometimes we have to be happy with small things. That's a product. This is another story about Portugal. We received a call from a big company called Amorim. It's the biggest producer of stopper for the wine bottle or champagne bottle in the world. It's based close to Porto in Portugal, and they asked us to do something with the leftover of the production because if nobody do something with this, that's a problem. And this is the production of the stopper, very handmade. And we have to do something with that because before they do that, and with this material we recycled, but material we try to do something better than both. Then we start with this kind of toys. Everybody knows it's like a piece of wood, yes, and we designed this kind of boat. And it works with 3 different typology, and it looks like it's easy, but in our small studio, we don't understand the thing about floating, and yes, and the beginning was not easy. And, then the part we modify something, and finally it's floating. Okay, that's about diversified approach. Here is we met an architect, and he asked us if we can help him to work on some apartments, and the space was totally empty, and we decided to work on like big furniture with the stairs and with the kitchen and everything, and then it's a bit like the scenography. It's 6 month work, but it's different approach and the product design. But it's also exciting because it's about logical, being logic, and try to do something with minimal cost and try to help people in the everyday life. This is the room for kids. We try with a small placement of products with the chair, Japanese chair, and yes, another placement of product, board chair, and the room for the parents. This is another image of into the Salone satellite, because after a few years they invite us, the organization invite Big Game as one of the good contributor for the Salone. It was a good surprise, and I show you these images because I want to see that for the studio, for an independent, for a studio like us. It's very important to show the work everywhere. Japan, Milan, here in Prague, and thank you, Apollo. And because it's in this kind of moment that we meet people, and we meet it's a young company, but very good at sailing and developing project into the field of interior design. And we met them in this small exhibition, and they asked to begin to work with the company, and they asked for the first project to work on an object for the entrance. This object is called beam because it's an aluminium extruded piece of and you you can slide wooden hooks on it. It exists in three dimensions. One is 60 centimeters, 90 and 2 meters long. And Hey is good at sailing. This project saves a lot. It's really good for the studio. And now we are working on a plastic laundry basket. Of course, this is not the white color, but it is the first prototype to see if everything works well in the stackability and the plastic details. And yes, when we receive a movie like this, is quite good for us because it means that the product is almost done and on the market. It's one piece. And the first model like this are made in black because we can see all the problem into the mold and injection molding. We probably don't launch these products in black, but it's only for beginning to see if it's, and also in a brilliant finish to see the problem. And when it's in white with a matte finish, it's perfect. Yes, that's the last object.
And you were also invited as a judges of A Awards.
Yes.
Can you tell something about A Awards?
Yes, of course. Yes, then it's there is a lot of different prizes in the world, and like Hermes and Hey try also to promote young designer, and they ask also young designer to be into the jury, and we were in the jury, and it was first time I was in this condition working for a company as a judge for young designer, and it was very exciting because we did a lot of good project for the young designer, and I was very I really wanted to have all the designers because it's a lot of energy from them, and it was a good experience. The exhibition was in the middle of nowhere in Denmark, and I'm not sure a lot of people have seen the exhibition, but the quality of the young designer was crazy. It was a bit like the Salone Satellite, but in smaller.
Okay. I haven't seen it. I just saw your pictures that you are in the judge, and
Yeah.
I haven't seen the results.
Designer promote me. No, but finally it's two winners, and I fight with big game to share the prize in two, because it was a big amount of money, and try to give two prizes finally, one girl and one boy. But on internet it's easy to find the winners, but I'm not sure about the others.
And you mentioned that you are working with Muji. What kind of project is it?
It's funny.
How did you get to Muji?
Yes, for Muji they ask us to work on a lot of different places into the catalog. I cannot say because I signed a very special agreement, but we work a bit everywhere into the catalog. Something very good with Muji, it's that we are like a part of the studio Muji, but in Switzerland. Then we receive a monthly fees to work for Muji, and we receive, they are in Japan, but we receive some few emails. They ask, okay, for the next month we want this typology of product, and we work on it, we send, receive feedback, and we start with new stuff. Yeah. It's exciting.
Also, you worked with a legendary Creo gallery.
Yeah.
What are the experiences to work with the gallery, then with the company? How is it different, or how your approach was different?
It's a lot about economical problem into everywhere. But with Creo, it's important to work more as into an experimental way of designing things. For companies, it's more corporate. If we work for Muji or for Nespresso or different companies, if they are multinational like this, they ask us to be quiet. They ask anonymous design, and for Muji, we don't sign the project. It's anonymous. If we design too much, they send an email that stop, be quiet. People don't have to recognize your work. It's Muji. Okay. But at Elric Creo, it's the opposite.
It's the opposite.
The opposite. It's all about the storytelling about the designer. Why this material? why it's long, it's more about storytelling. And also the project with Creo are not mass production. It's only few pieces, and it's more like the art small edition of pieces. It's a good exercise to start at the studio in the morning with Creo and finish the day with an espresso or it's sometimes make us crazy, but the logic is somewhere is the same.
Any questions?
Maybe I have one. I'm wondering about the chairs. I'm not a designer, and I see some design pieces. It's always, not always, but quite often about the chairs. So what do you think? Where is the magic of this object? That it's like every designer has to make a chair at least once or something like this. I don't want to criticize, but I'm just wondering what is the point about the chair.
Yeah, why the chair is so important for a designer. Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, but that's a really good question. I don't have the good answer, but my idea is that a chair is a very good exercise because it's a lot about materials and physics problems, structural problems, and the chair is everywhere. Chair is it's from 10 euro to like 100 euro or more. No, sorry, 1,000 euro or more. And a lot of architects use the chair before the idea of being a designer. I read in a book that a lot of architects like Macintosh and other people design chairs like with the same style of their building, and it's a part of the history of chairs. Yes. And today there is a lot of different chairs on this planet, but it's still, that's very surprising, but it's still an exercise. The chair doesn't exist. I don't know. Maybe the theoretical aspect from
No, maybe it's such a kind of archetype of product for living, or so it's the basic feature of our homes.
No, you're right, but the table is also an archetype, but it's less important in terms of image. In the magazine, you see a lot of chairs, but not so much table. But the character of a beautiful chair is sometimes crazy, you know? You can fall in love with a chair. The table, I'm not sure.
Good.
Maybe I have one more question if there is no. I'm wondering about your teaching part of life. What do you think? What is the kind of your approach or your idea? What to tell the students, or how to lead them, or what is the point in your teaching? What do you want to transfer?
Yeah, it's also a good question. Very different. Being a designer is for sure is not easy. Then at school we try to help the students not like teachers that we know everything about design and I explain to you. All the relationship I have with the students, it's like we discover together what is possible to do. Of course, I have some experience with the studio, but only with the studio, and I share all what I know about how we try to be a designer. We show only if we sign a contract with a company, but if not, we explain everything to help. And also, we don't have to speak too much about how work, because today I speak a lot about a big game, but at school we speak about what do you want to do and what kind of designer you want to be, because there is a lot of possibilities. If everybody walk on the chair, there is no work for everybody. And, one of the most exciting things today is try to open the map of design to help the young people find a job. Mm-hmm. Even we are in Switzerland, in the world, easy world, this is crucial. Every day at school is speaking about how you want to be happy and get money.
Yeah, I spoke to Oscar Diaz, you know him from Royal College of Art, and he said that they are trying to learn students more into design and technology, and like, because he said, who today will buy a chair, but who will buy an iPhone? Mm-hmm. Everybody, one chair, not so much. Right. So he was telling me that they are trying to educate students into more like industrial technological design. So. Yeah. But maybe Ekal is more like artist, or how to say, like
but
more visually attractive.
Yeah, Ekal spend a lot of time in the image of the product, because the skills of the students are they are good in industrial design, but also photography, graphic design, and what all the skills important to sales their work. I have to say that in the bachelor at Ekal, we open more and more the possibilities, and I can show you maybe one project if you have 1 minute more. Yeah. From one student graduated few years, 2 years ago, and it's quite good. It's very bad. Sorry, I don't find it. Sorry. Openly, the new name of the yes, okay. Okay, very quickly, it's it's a student graduated after 3 years of industrial design. I show you very quickly the project he did in first year bachelor about technical skill. And finally, 3 years after, his diploma project is small. It's an object, and he did a small movie.
Stuck was developed as my graduation project at ECAL in Switzerland. It is a compact inkjet printer which is placed on top of a paper pad. When printing, Stack slowly moves downwards and swallows the pad until no paper is left. The paper disappears under the printer and exits on top where it creates a new pad. The most time-consuming part in this project was the proof of functionality. I opened up and modified more than 10 printers until I finally got my functional model to work. Based on these insights, I started designing my printer. The interior of Stack is based on mobile printer parts to keep the dimensions at their minimum. Thanks to this new way of printing, it is possible to remove the bulkiest element in common printers, the paper tray. Instead, there are rollers underneath so the paper can glide smoothly into the printer. This concept allows a very light appearance and avoids frequent reloading. It is ideal for people with limited storage room and those who are bored of ordinary bulky printers.
Then this guy now is working in Nuremberg in a studio, office chairs like this, and in the same class afterwards. In the same class, a student like Julie is more like an artist, and she's totally we accept the 2D profile, of course, and a lot of profile. And she was into the project Galilei, but there is no movie, but this is more an artistic way of thinking. The line, the aesthetic of the drawings, and there is a limited edition of print, and it's totally different, not opposite, but different to Mugi Yamamoto before. And we try to open.
They are from the same class.
1 year, but in each class there is so different profile. It's crazy. It's like an elastic. And if I see a lot of different profile, it's good for me because I'm sure that they all look different targets and find a job.
Anybody else?
And thank you very much for
So
coming.
thank you.